Tonight, a grand final warning. Health authorities pleading with Melburnians to stay home as Victoria posts a COVID record 847 new cases. Also ugly scenes in St Kilda as police outnumber anti-lockdown protesters. Die-hard Demons and Dogs fans do what they can to celebrate in locked-down Melbourne. And exclusive access inside Optus Stadium for a history-making night in the West.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell.
Good evening. Health officials are pleading with Melburnians to stay home tonight, worried about COVID spreading through illegal grand final parties in homes across the city. Blake Johnson, Victoria is dealing with a pandemic record number of cases.
Yes, Peter, 847 in a single day. The other number that's concerning, the number of people in hospital with COVID, that has more than doubled in just the past couple of weeks. The other number that's really important today, vaccinations. First doses up around 1% now to 77.1%. And 46.9% of Victorian adults are now fully vaccinated. Booking, our supplies increased dramatically over the next month or so, but not enough to reduce the gap between doses for the Pfizer vaccine. I'll have more on this coming up at 6, Pete.
Blake Johnson, thank you. Anti-lockdown protesters were no match for police on a 6th straight day of demonstrations. Tegan Doling is at police headquarters, and Tegan, protesters targeted another Melbourne landmark today.
Mitch, they were attempting to meet at Luna Park, but that was quickly flooded by the police. So the small group has crossed the road over to St Kilda Beach, and it was there where police arrested 94 protesters before they were able to get too far. It's after a week of running riot across Melbourne, but Mitch, these small numbers today is really starting to demonstrate that this group is clearly running out of steam.
Tegan Doling, thank you. 60,000 footy fans are beginning to fill Optus Stadium for tonight's historic grand final in Perth. Chief football reporter Tom Brown joins us now for the very latest on the build-up. And Tom, Perth is turning red, white and blue.
Mitch, it certainly is. This is football's field of dreams, an historic event. It might never happen in AFL football again. Incredible scenes on the ground at the moment. This atmosphere in an hour and a half's time will be absolutely electric. I'll be back shortly on the ground in sport, Mitch.
We look forward to that. Thank you, Tom Brown in Perth. Coming up next on 7 News, a fugitive accused of murder has been cornered in a home in Melbourne's southeast. We'll have the latest. Also, the new push to get Melbourne children back into community sport. And the Duchess of Cambridge proves a smash hit. A fugitive in Melbourne's southeast has finally been arrested after almost a week on the run. Heavily armed police surrounded a Cranbourne home, with the marathon siege ending around 11 o'clock last night. Christopher Hillman is now in hospital under police guard. The 43-year-old was wanted over the death of a man in Frankston last Saturday. Victorians have missed a key milestone to resume community sport as we trail vaccination targets. Now the state opposition is calling for funding to help local clubs kickstart their return.
For 18 long months, the goalposts keep changing for Victorian children. CASSIE, ZERVOS, 7 News.
Lava continues to flow from the hillside of an active volcano on the Spanish island of La Palma 6 days after it erupted. 3 more towns have been evacuated, with 6,000 people now forced out as a cloud of toxic gas hovers above the island. There have been no reports of any deaths or serious injuries. History beckons for the Demons or the Dogs. Next, the very latest from inside Optus Stadium and last-minute preparations in homes across Melbourne. Also, Victoria's vaccine boost in our race to freedom. New tactics in the battle between police and anti-lockdown protesters. And a united front as Scott Morrison talks tough with China. The eyes of the football world are on Perth tonight as Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs face off in a grand final showdown 67 years in the making. The Demons are hoping to end the longest premiership drought in the AFL, but the Dogs are planning their own slice of history.
West Side Story, a tale of demons and dogs facing off for footy's ultimate prize in the COVID-free capital of Australia. In Perth, Tom Brown, 7 News.
And lockdown demons and doggies fans in Melbourne are bracing for a bittersweet night in front of the TV. Georgia Comensoli is at an eerie MCG this evening. Georgia, diehard supporters are doing everything they can to get into the grand final spirit.
Mitch, if it wasn't for the pandemic, 100,000 fans would be leaving the MCG right about now. Instead, Melburnians will have to make do with what they're allowed to do, and that means getting ready for a big night at home.
With 13 demons under the one roof, this is Melbourne's biggest legal grand final house party.
Victoria's pandemic response team is worried about COVID spreading through illegal grand final parties. Health officials are pleading with Melburnians to hold off making a night of it, so our vaccine targets and easing of restrictions stay on track.
Queues that should be at the MCG are instead at test and vaccine hubs around the state.
Almost 100 anti-lockdown protesters have been arrested on a wild afternoon at St Kilda Beach. After running riot across Melbourne all week, the rebel group appears to be shrinking by the day.
St Kilda was today's target as protesters hit another Melbourne landmark. But the small group of self-proclaimed freedom fighters was quickly outnumbered and conceding defeat.
Scott Morrison has secured the support of world leaders to take action against China. The PM wrapping up a week of crucial talks in the US.
4 leaders of 4 very different countries, but on the challenge of China, they're 4 of a kind. At the White House, Mark Riley, 7 News.
That's the nature of our partnership.
And our political editor, Mark Riley, will ask the tough questions in an exclusive one-on-one with Prime Minister Scott Morrison in Washington. That's on Weekend Sunrise tomorrow. Sport is next with Tim Watson. And Tim, you've got the final word from both the Demons and the Dogs.
We do, Mitch, and the nerves will be well and truly kicking in for the players right now. Let's head back to Chief Football Reporter Tommy Brown, who's inside the stadium. And Tom, the conditions couldn't be any better.
Absolutely perfect. Teams have just completed their initial warm-ups, Tim. Some notable things from the Melbourne camp. Spargo and May right in front of me just moments ago. It's going to be an absolute nail-biter, I think, in terms of the result tonight. But both sides, particularly with the extra week's preparation, it has had perfect preparations for this grand final. There'll be no excuses. I think it's a coin toss.
On you, Tommy, it does look magnificent. The Melbourne Storm's premiership defence sadly has come to an end. Injury struck early in the preliminary final against Penrith, with Christian Welsh subbed out with a head knock. What about that shot?
Incredible shot indeed. Who do you like for tonight?
I like both the teams, to be quite honest.
Yes, me too.
I think it's a toss of the coin, but it landed on Melbourne. I think they've got the defensive mechanism and Max Gawn to get them over the line tonight. What about you?
My heart says the Demons. I'd love to see them win, but I think the Doggies will win, and Jack McRae for the Norm Smith. What about you?
I've gone for Jack Viney. He's a contested ball beast, and those types of players are the types of players that get the job done on grand final day.
All right, Tim. Thank you very much indeed. Now, here's a live look inside Optus Stadium. Perfect conditions as we saw for tonight's grand final. It will be a little cooler here in Melbourne tomorrow, mostly sunny and a top of 15 degrees. And that's the way it is. This Saturday, the 25th of September. Thanks for your company. We're just an hour away from the opening bounce of the 2021 Grand Final. Enjoy the game and have a great night.